What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today is another installment of Macro Monday here on the channel, where I review a beer from a macro brewery or a macro-esque beer from a craft brewery. And the beer I'm reviewing today comes from the Miller Brewing Company, and they are headquartered in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and this is their iconic Miller Lite. So this is an American Light lager, and on the label it says a fine Pilsner beer. It comes in at 4.2% alcohol by volume, 10 IBUs, and at the time of review, I don't know exactly how old this can is, but it does have a best by date of May 5th of 2025, so we're a little bit over 3 months away from that date, so we should be more than good to go. So full disclosure, I've had this beer before. I'm sure you've had this beer before, but the last time I had it was back in 2018, and I actually did a blind taste test between this, Bud Light, Coors Light, and Labatt Blue Light with my cousin and a couple other family members. My cousin really enjoys Labatt Blue, and he does dig on some Labatt Blue Light. So I wanted to see if he could tell the difference between the four beers. Spoilers, he could not. He actually, I think he picked Coors Light as his favorite, as did I. And Labatt Blue Light was the only beer within the blind tasting that I thought was actually bad. I did not enjoy it. The rest of them, very inoffensive. Coors Light had the most flavor. Now, I love, and by love I mean for the style, an American adjunct lager. I really dig Miller High Life. It's one of my favorites, but I've never reviewed any of the 3 BMC light beers, so this, Bud Light, Coors Light, so I'm gonna do that this year, and I thought I would start out with this one for no reason other than let's do it. So I got this big 24 fluid ounce glass. They have a little bit of a spiel here on the side. It says, inside is a fine Pilsner beer brewed with the highest quality ingredients. We use choice hops from the Pacific Northwest as well as noble Saaz hops, and deliver more taste, aroma, and color with only 96 calories per 12 ounces. So this entire can here has less than 200 calories. Pretty impressive. They have so many different beers, Miller does. Miller High Life, they have Miller High Life Light, which I've never had before. They do have Miller Extra Light, which I saw a very good friend of mine and fellow beer tuber Joe over at Joe's Arcade review recently. I think that's renamed Miller 64, but it was like, do you really need a lighter beer than this? I guess so. I don't really know. So we're going to pour it, probably spill it everywhere. I was very disappointed, as I always wash my glasses before I review, and I noticed that there's like little specks here on the glass, and it's the outside glass, because I don't know if you can see with this Jenny glass here, but I got the new camera. There is a little chip coming off the logo, and it's all over the side of the glass, but I'm not going to get another one. Not going to. I'm going to crack it open. I'm probably going to spill this everywhere. I'm very poor with pouring beer. See what I did there? Don't ever do it again, Joe. But when it comes to the bigger cans, I always duff the pour. We'll see if that happens today. If so, I got my trusty paper towels, but I'm going to pour it from the side like I have been. I've been doing better recently, but we'll see. These cans have a tendency to go everywhere at me. We'll see. All right. Not trying to go crazy here, but do something like that for now, and I think I've done a pretty good job. Terrible pour, but we'll let the head dissipate and then pour some more in a little bit later. Yeah, so first things first, look at that beautiful pour. Is that not the best pour you've ever seen from somebody? I don't know, but I don't think so. So as you can see my ugly mug underneath it most likely, but that's golden straw color, very light. Somebody that has not been hydrated very well. 4 fingers of this beautiful off-white, maybe even bright white, soap sudsy looking head, gray carbonation. I don't know. Let's see if I can use here. I don't know if that's going to be any better in terms of being, yeah, see the carbonation streaming up right there? I'm going to put the light on it to the side here. Yeah, you can definitely see the carbonation bubbles. It just has the etching that promotes the carbonation at the bottom. So, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to pour any more in, but you can see on the sides of the outside of the glass, there's little specks. I'm not a fan. Let's get a nose. Oh, sorry. I was just looking for the aroma. If you come to my channel, you know I am the furthest thing from a beer snob. I always tell everybody to drink what you like. I don't care if it's a macro beer or you're the most hype craft beer ever known to man. Enjoy what you like. This doesn't smell like anything. Maybe the ever so slight amount of like a corny kind of grainy malt character. They do say they use corn. Like, they do actually have on the side here, they say what they brew it with. Yes, of course, they put like silver font on a white background. Walter, reading comprehension is not my friend. Water, barley malt, corn syrup, which is dextrose, yeast, hops, and hop extract. Corn syrup is used as part of the brewing process only. Miller Lite never uses high fructose corn syrup. All right, Miller Lite, you're still using corn syrup. A lot of breweries do. It's fine. But this smells like a little bit of a grainy, corny, just water. Like, it doesn't have a lot of aroma. Pour a little bit more in here. Something like that. I'm just happy I didn't spill it everywhere. Not a huge, thing to do nowadays. Like, you should be able to pour the beer. Now, I think that this looks a little bit better, if we're being honest. But yeah, I mean, it plays the role of what you want, or at least what most people want out of a light beer like this. So, doesn't smell like a whole lot. Let's give it a taste. Cheers, everyone. Also, RIP to Bob Uecker and John Madden. I remember them with the whole, what was it? Tastes great, less filling. Commercials back in the 70s and the 80s. Bob Uecker just recently passed away. John Madden, was it last year? Year before? This is all right. When I did that blind taste testing, number 1 was Coors. Number 2, surprisingly to me, was Bud Light. Number 3 was this. And then number 4, at the bottom of the barrel, was Labatt Blue Light, which is wild because I've had Labatt Blue Light and I didn't think it was that bad. Might have had I did it all in these same cans, but I had an off can. I don't know. Anyway, go back to this review. This review's terrible as is, but it's the Beer Patrol. Welcome to the channel. The body is like higher side of light. It's not super watery, but it's watery. Has a little bit of a viscosity there, a little bit of an oomph, but it's definitely watery. The mouthfeel is probably the best thing about this. It's super crisp. It's quite clean. It's pretty refreshing. Super crushable. I could down like that entire can in no time. And that's because the flavor just really isn't apparent. Now I get it's 4.2%. I totally get it, but there is almost no flavor out here. It's not an offensive flavor. It's not a bad flavor. It's just there isn't much flavor. Just there's front to back, maybe a little bit of that corny, grainy kind of malt character, maybe a very slight touch of like a grassiness on the finish. Like, I've reviewed almost 2,500 beers on the channel. I've reviewed a lot of macro beers. I've done Macro Monday, I think, for over a year. I've reviewed them before that. I reviewed a lot of just light, crushable lagers, craft lagers. This is up there with one of the least flavorful beers. I think it ties Busch beer for me of the beers I reviewed in terms of like, this is absolutely 100%. This beer right here is absolutely 100% inoffensive, but it's a step up from water. So if you're somebody who just wants to, feel good and drink to get buzzed or drunk, then yeah, I could see pounding these out. For me, it's a much easier way to get drunk than just drinking 12 of these or whatever it would take for you. For me nowadays, it'd probably take me like two of those cans and I'd be toast because of things that have went on in the last 3 or 4 years health-wise and medications I'm on and whatnot. But let me just say that anybody who drinks this beer and thinks it's absolutely horrendous, I don't see where you're coming from unless you're saying because it's not flavorful. Maybe everybody's palate is different, but like there is nothing offensive about this beer. It's just like slightly corn flavored water. The finish is nice though. It has like a semi-dry finish. Really no bitterness to speak of. It's not sweet. That's one thing I'll give the credit to this beer is it's not sweet. A lot of light lagers and adjunct lagers can just be too sweet with that like corniness, or if they use rice or whatever, just like a little bit too sweet, not enough bitterness or dryness. This is pretty balanced. It's just one of these beers where I guess I'd ask one question for myself personally if I was to drink this like regularly, it'd just be why? I don't know. That's why I don't drink it. But again, I'm not a beer snob when it comes to this stuff. If there's people who absolutely love this beer, I totally get it. Everybody's different. We all have different palates. So if this is a beer that you like and you've come to the review and you're like, ah, man, this guy disagrees with me, that's life, though. We can disagree and have a nice back and forth. You go back to drinking Miller Lite and I go back to drinking whatever beer I drink. That's the beauty about all this. But to me, super inoffensive, not great. Would never purposely drink this again myself. There are better light beers. There are better American adjunct lagers. There's bunch of other beers. Now I'm very curious. If I can get my hands on like a single can or bottle of extra light, which is Miller 64, I just want to see how can it be any less flavorful than this. I don't understand where we would be going. That's what I said about Busch. Like I Busch Light, would that be more or less flavorful than Busch? I don't know. I don't know how that works. But anyway, one more sip and we'll lock in a rating. I gotta pass it. You know why? Because I could easily drink this. If I was out somewhere and this was the only beer they had and we were drinking and having a good time, I wouldn't complain. I would not complain at all. But I wouldn't be over the moon drinking this. I would just be like, all right, we're just drinking a beer. It's fine. So Miller Lite, a fine Pilsner beer. Oh, I'm going to give this a... I'll pass it barely. 2.5 out of 5. That's like the best I can give it. So for me, passing is 2.5. Again, I wouldn't buy this again. I would probably not drink it unless it's like, again, in a dire situation. It's not a beer that I would seek out again. But I'm glad I finally reviewed it. Let's just say that. Price point availability, I paid $2.50 for that big ass can. And then I looked up like the price points for like different stuff. Different sizes, like they have anywhere from 6 packs to 30 packs. And more or less what I realize is once you hit 12 packs, between like 12 and 24, they're around like a buck a can for like a 12 fluid ounce can. I think a 30 pack was like $25 locally. And I think a 6 pack was like $7 or something like that. So for a buck a beer, sure. If you're somebody who is going to drink a 6 pack of this, $7 you get nice and toasty. I just wouldn't want to drink that much beer. I'd rather drink 2 beers that are say 10, not even 10%, 8%, 8.5%, and go about my day. But again, we're all different. That's the beauty about life in general, but more specifically in this situation, craft beer. And the availability, it's Miller Lite. It's available everywhere. If you've never had this beer before, I couldn't sit here and recommend you try it. Try it if you are curious to try the 3 BMC beers, both the regular. So you have Miller Lite, and then you got Miller High Life, you got Coors Light, Coors Banquet, and then you have Bud Light and Budweiser. I would say everybody in the U.S., if you are into beer, should try all 6 of those beers at some point. I have now reviewed 4 of the 6. I'll review the last 2 later this year. But yeah, it's aight. So if you've had this one before, and again, I'm sure many of you out there have, post in the comment section. Let me know what you think about it. Where do you rank this between Bud Light and Coors Light? It was a distant third. It was third right behind Bud Light, just barely. But Coors Light was better than this. And again, I did that blind, but it was about 6.5 years ago, I want to say. Yeah, it was about 6.5 years ago. So it would be fun to do that later on this year. Get all 3 beers. Maybe throw in a random wild card like the Labatt Blue Light or something else. Maybe even do it like a craft one. Or, hey, I got the Genesee glass. I got the Genesee Get Up here today. Maybe throw in Jenny Light in the equation and see where we go. But that would be fun to do, like an actual blind beer review, matchup between those 3. But do it on camera and see how it goes. So I'm going to shut this one down. Yeah. I guess I'm going to drink. We'll see how far I get with the rest of that can. I don't like wasting beer. It's very inoffensive and doesn't have a lot of calories, and I'll probably get a little bit of a buzz from it. So I'll probably drink the rest of this and not hate my life doing so, but wondering why am I not drinking a more flavorful beer. Struggling with the words in this one, but that is the Beer Patrol. We struggle as a whole, but more specifically with the English language. I'm going to shut this one down. Appreciate everybody stopping by for another Macro Monday. I do these usually every 3-4 weeks. The last couple months, though, I think I threw in a couple, but it's been maybe 5 or 6 weeks since I've done one. So yeah, we'll probably do Bud Light or Coors Light next, and then do the other one after that, and then move on to some other macro beers. It does have some nice glass lacing, though. Look at the glass lacing's pretty nice. You can't really beat the glass lacing. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to shut this one out. To the next one. Cheers. 4.2%. Sure. I can't taste it, but sure. Double cheers.